Okay, so I'm trying something new tonight. I have been doing live coding challenges just by doing algorithms on Code Wars, but I thought I'd try something different, creating a React app from scratch. So I thought about that I'd like to use an open source API and just find a fun little project that we can build off of it. And a great resource I found for APIs, let me just search for public API. And it's the first one there. Here we go, a collective list of free APIs. And I've used this resource for several of the smaller projects that I've built. It's got a whole list of different things you can look for: food and drinks, games and comics. Oh, games and comics, that's what I want to go for. But it also has more boring things like news or finance. If you want to make a more serious application, or like a weather app. I think they have weather here too. Yeah, there's weather, etc. But I'm gonna go for something fun, so I'm gonna do games and comics. Oh, here we go. Chuck Norris jokes. I think I've used that before. Now, deck of cards. Now, this has potential for a lot of things you can build. I mean, let's just look at it quick. So you can say how many decks you want. You can, and it gives you the response, which is good. You can say how many cards you want to draw. So that would be really fun to use sometime. I'm not going to use it, but there's just so many great things here that you could use for projects, and even just getting project ideas. You look through this list, you're like, whoa, that gives me an idea for a project. So if you're looking for inspiration, this is a good place to go. Oh, I've used this jokes one, programming jokes, for something before. Marvel, here we go. Pokemon, I used that one before. That's a very good one. But the one I want to use this time is superheroes. All superheroes and villains data from all the universe under a single API. That sounds pretty sweet. So I'm going to use that one. All right, and I mean, the reason I'm starting with this is how I like to start my projects. I want to know what kind of data I'm working with, right? And I'm a front-end engineer. I've done a full stack app before just to see what things were like on the back end, like building my own API. But for the most part, I work with APIs that have already been built, and I just want to know what kind of data I have to work with and the structure of the data, et cetera, et cetera. I want to know what kind of requests and responses I can have. So let's see. So this is pretty straightforward. You just need a Facebook account to get a API key. So that's what that is. Usually API keys you keep a secret. But this is just, it's an open source thing, and it's probably no big deal if people see it. So access token is what we're talking about. So in this case, the access token is just part of the URL. I'm not going to use bearer token as part of the request. I'm going to just put it in the URL here. And okay, so this is pretty straightforward. You get the endpoints. It tells you what it returns. So you can get, let's see, power stats, ID, name, and this is search character by name. So already, now this is a very important tool, and I'm going to use it right now. It's called Postman, if you're not familiar with it. Anyone, whether you work on the front end or the back end, you need Postman so that you can basically test different endpoints and see what responses you get. So let's do that right now. Here's the URL. I just need this part, and I'll put it here. Okay, and then I'll get my nice little access token and put it here. That'll give me permission. /search/name. So that's what I'm going to try. Search / and what do we want to search for? Any requests? What superhero or supervillain from either DC or Marvel should we search for? Okay, no requests so far. Unless there's a delay, there might be a big delay. Actually, there is a delay because I see myself up there and I'm really like a few seconds behind here. So I'm just going to wait a minute and see who comes up with one. No, I'll do Supergirl first, just as a test. Supergirl. Got to spell it right. Send. There we go. And we get a response. Response success, Supergirl, and you get her power stats, and this is a percentage. I mean, and immediately I'm thinking, that's potential for using it. Like if you're doing like a trading card game and you want to know who's more powerful than who or who's smarter than who, that would be good to know those stats. Biography, appearance. Now here's one reason I chose this API, is because it has an image included with it. So I don't have to go searching around for images to use. It's just part of the response. So if I do command click, there we go. I get a Supergirl. Hooray! So that is very nice. And the Pokemon API is the same thing. It's got the little images of the Pokemon. So that was good to use that one too. So this is a great, Batman. Okay, let's do Batman. I got a request. Send. Here we go. And you get his ID as well. So you could just use his ID to get the power stats here, for example, if you don't want to have the entire, all the info here. Intelligence, strength, right? It's pretty low because he's just a human, right? Speed, I mean, it's well pretty, but his combat is very high. See his intelligence and his combat, and his money too. I don't see that on here. That might be under his power. Maybe that's under his power, right? But anyway, now look at this. Full name Terry McGinnis. Wait. Batman Beyond #1. Oh, see, now look at this. This is different. See, here's Bruce Wayne. See, I already found an edge case, right? I already found an edge case. So someone could do a search for Batman and they would get this first guy here. I'm like, who the heck is Terry McGinnis? When they really want Bruce Wayne. So here's an edge case I have to figure out how to deal with already. It's like, which Batman do they need and how do I find out which Batman they intend? I'll have to think about that later. That's something to figure out later. I'm just going to come up with like a minimum viable product for this project. There's probably all sorts of edge cases I can find. But I'd like to know that ahead of time as much as possible. Like, for example, when I was playing around before, I tried Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman. And what response did I get? Error. Character with given name not found. So I'm like, well, is there like a dash in there? But it was the same thing. And I thought, how about an underscore? And that was it. So I have to do some kind of test. So like if I do a search bar where people can put in the character name, I have to replace any spaces with underscores. So I know that now because I've been playing around here. So Postman is great for that. You can play around, you can test the endpoints, you can get the responses. And I don't think they said that here. I mean, so it's really nice to have very detailed documentation, but I didn't see them go through those details here. So I'm just going to figure it out by trial and error, I suppose. Anyway, okay, so that's the data I have to work with. Good. So what's the next step? The next step is like the design. Like I said, coming up with an MVP, a minimum viable product. I'll just move my wine over here. I haven't drank any of it yet. Maybe I'll take a sip. Yeah, so the next thing is the design. Now, as a front-end engineer, I'm like the middleman. I'm supposed to be like the middleman, right? I have the back-end engineers, the people who are creating the APIs and everything. And I have the designers, like the UX designers, who basically come up with the design and the wireframes and the mock-ups and give it to me. Both of these people are giving it to me, and I'm supposed to like put them together and make it happen. The data and the design, and make it happen. in a project like this, even though I have the API, which is nice, I am wearing the designer hat too. I don't have someone giving me a design to create, to make happen. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something very simple. Excalidraw, that's what I want. I usually just draw it on paper, but you can't really see it if I draw it on paper. So I'll use Excalidraw. Just a little pencil thing. Okay. So when I'm designing, I'm going to design for mobile first, because this is something I've discovered I've discovered by reading articles about it, but also personally discovered, it's like when people check out my projects that I post, that I demo, 80+% of them are going to look at it on their phone. And because I'm building the app on my laptop, it's easy to forget that that's going to happen, and to test it on my iPhone and everything too. So anyway, so mobile first, okay? So let's make a nice mobile phone. If I want it to be neater, I could actually use the square thing, but I'm just drawing freehand right now. Okay, so that's a giant mobile phone, and this is a desktop or laptop. Very good. I'm used to drawing by hand. Okay. So this is going to be very simple, okay? So I want a search bar so that people can type in a name. I'm going to have a little title. Actually, let's use this so I don't have to torture myself with hand drawing things. Heroes and villains. Let's call it Heroes and Villains. Great. Sounds good to me. Now how do you, okay, copy and paste. There. That's what it'll look like there. Awesome. And then I'm even going to be fancy and do like, that can be the, yeah, copy, paste. Great. Hey, I'm actually like doing, and this is going to be a card. Let's make it a card, okay? So, oh wait, no, I need the square thing again. Bear with me here. I'm doing it. Here's a card. But then on this one, it's going to be horizontal. On the bigger screen, it's going to be horizontal so that the image, this is the image. Here, let me just draw a little happy face. I'm a hero. How about circles for the eyes? Boop. This is too much fun. If I drink more wine, I'll have even more fun, maybe. Oh, and then can I get all of this stuff? Yes, I can get all of this stuff. My smiley face hero or villain can go over here. Some heroes smile and some villains smile, and some heroes don't smile and some villains don't smile. So being cheerful or grumpy doesn't necessarily make you a hero or villain. Lessons to be learned. Getting off track. Okay, so here we go. And then name, that's going to be their name. Very exciting. And that's going to be on top right here. Or I could put it here. Little design decisions like that. And I'll make some squiggles. Boop, 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 boop. For, oh. I can't just make a bunch of little squiggles. I have to copy and paste the squiggles. These are their power stats, in case you didn't recognize what I'm doing here. These are their power stats. Let's put another one there. Okay. So their name and their power stats and their picture. And, oh, I forgot the search bar. Search bar. That's going to be below the title. I'm squishing it here now. Oh, no. It's supposed to be below the title and above. Here we go. There we go. The search bar. Great. That's it. That's my MVP. That's all it is. And of course, there's edge cases and there's other features I could do, but this looks like a little octopus person here, or a little like spider person because of the 8 legs thing. Anyway, just yeah. So that's the MVP. And in terms of design, otherwise, like I don't mess too much with fonts or colors because that's just a rabbit hole that I can just change it every 2 seconds and it never gets any better or any worse. Like I'm not the person to go to in terms of color choices or font choices. I'll just make everything look like a comic book and make it Comic Sans with like blue and red everywhere. So I'm not the person to make things look nice. But I've toned it back and I use mostly like grayscale now, and like especially if I have an image that's going to be colorful, having like a dark gray, having like gray for the rest of it would not be distracting from the image too. So colors is pretty important. So when I look at this design and I think about and the data I have, and I think about making a React app, I'm thinking about the architecture of the app. And this is a very, very small app. What have I got here? I've got the parent component, that's this huge guy here. The parent component, which is going to have a little title, and it's going to have a search bar component. I'm going to make the search bar a separate component. And then it's going to have this information, data, stats, whatever I call this component. That's going to be one component. So it's just one parent component with two children components. And the parent component is going to manage the state of the app. And this search bar is basically going to set the state of the app. I mean, that's what's going to send information to the state. And then this one is mostly going to be receiving the state. So yeah, that's the pretty basic structure of the React app I'm going to build. So next time we'll get it going. We'll do the create React app and name it. I'll do an open source GitHub repo as well.